Hi everyone! Today we're going to kick off our first unit, which is all about place value and whole number multiplication, by doing a quick review of the different place value positions. And it's always important to understand why we are learning about the topics that we are and how they can help us in everyday life. Place value is really important to understand because it helps us make sense of all the numbers around us and helps us to understand what those numbers represent or how much they're worth. So first, let's do a quick refresher of some important math vocabulary that we'll be using all year long. The first important term to know is a digit. And a digit is a single symbol used to make numbers. These symbols are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now, a digit's a little bit different from a number because a number is a count or a measurement made up of one or more digits. So, for example, if I put the digits 1 and 7 together, those two symbols make the number 17. Now, it is true that one digit could make up a number at the same time. So, for example, if we have a kindergartner who's 5 years old, the digit 5 is both a digit, or the symbol, and the number because it's talking about the count of how many years old that particular person is. Another important term to remember is place, and place is the position of a digit in a number. We'll also be talking a lot this year about powers of 10, and a power of 10 is when the number 10 is multiplied by itself a given number of times. Finally, the last important term to remember is value. Value represents the amount a digit is worth or what it represents in a number. And value is directly related to place because the place of a digit is going to determine the value or the amount that it's worth. So let's take a quick refresher of the different place value positions. And again, remember, the big idea here is that in our place value system, the value of a digit, or how much it's worth, depends on the place or the location the digit is. So if you remember, all of our numbers are grouped into sets of 3 digits called periods. So the first period with the least value is the ones period. The least value is always going to be on the right of our number. The next period is the thousands period. Then the next group of 3 makes up the millions period. And finally, the billions period. We could continue on, but this year in 5th grade, we're only going to be learning about numbers through the billions period. And you might also remember that each digit has a special pattern that it follows, and that is ones, tens, hundreds. So in the ones period, the digit with the least value is in the ones place, then the tens place, then the hundreds place. In the thousands period, we have the 1,000s, then the 10,000s, then the 100,000s. In the millions period, 1 millions, 10 millions, 100 millions, and finally in the billions period, 1 billions, 10 billions, and 100 billions. This pattern also continues. So if we moved into the next period, the trillions period, we would still have that ones, tens, hundreds pattern repeated. And when we're reading numbers, which we'll talk a little bit more about later, we would stop and take a breath every time we see a comma. Each group of 3 digits, or each period, is represented by a comma, and that's where we would say the name of the period. Otherwise, it would get really challenging to name a number just based on all of the digits you would see there. Now, lastly, one thing that's going to be important for us is to be able to compare the values of different digits. As we move one place value position to the left, meaning we are going towards greater place value positions, the digit is going to become 10 times greater than the place before. The opposite is true as we move to the right. So as we move one place value position to the right on our place value chart, we are getting a value that's 1/10 of the space before it. We're going to talk a lot more about this specifically in another lesson, but I wanted to give you a quick refresher of the important vocabulary and place value positions before we start talking about how to read and write numbers. Thanks for tuning in.